Our second speaker today is Carl Thormeyer, who will be giving a number 10 speech entitled Dare to Dream. I'd like to remind you all that as a number 10 speech, this is 8 to 10 minutes. And the purpose of the speech is to inspire your audience. We will have two very inspirational speeches today. Carl Thormeyer.
Well, thank you, Lacey. You know, I've noticed an interesting phenomenon in this club. All the women are on this side of the room. All the men are on this side of the room. And that has nothing to do with my speech, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to point this out. Now, a number of years ago, I was district parliamentarian, and I still am, as a matter of fact, but we had a district governor by the name of Shirley Farrell Coles, and she had a theme, and her theme was, if you dream it, you can do it. And these were our name tags, okay? Dreamweavers. We were dreamweavers that year. And we all had tags like this to put in front of our place at the table when we had the district executive committee meetings. And the whole point was, is if you can dream it, you can do it. And if we look just to people in this club, we see that. A couple of weeks ago, Juliet Ferguson gave a speech called Castles in the Sky. I wasn't here, but I watched it on the blog. And that's the only time I ever watched the blogs when I'm not here. Not true, but anyway, she had goals and she had dreams. And she told us how she went about achieving those goals and dreams. Elizabeth Mitchell has a dream that before she's 40, she's going to be in all 50 states. Oh, yeah. And a couple of weeks ago, she gave a speech about how she knocked off 3 or 4 of them in one weekend. Yeah. And she's going to reach that goal. She's going to achieve that dream. Kathy Lee dreamt she was going to become a lawyer. She went to school, got her law degree, worked really hard, ended up in the district attorney's office, and now is, I don't know if you're in private practice or what, but she's really busy being a lawyer. She's enjoying every bit of it. And all of you have had dreams, I'm sure, and have tried to achieve or even achieved those dreams. Now, I too had a dream. I worked for the Navy for many, many years. I was a meteorologist for the Navy, in the Navy, and then for the Navy as a civilian later on. But my dream is, I wanted to be a TV weather guy. And about 7 years ago, that was one of my fans. About 7 years ago, Jim Vanderswan at KSPW was looking for people who could fill in on a weekend evening. And of course, you just don't go in and fill in. It takes training and a lot of effort. And I said, yeah, I'd like to try that. And so about 4 of us at the same time went in and learned how to do the weekend evening weathercast. And for about 3 years or so after that, I filled in about once a month, about 1 weekend a month on the average in the evening weekend. And it was all right, but I didn't have a regular gig, so to speak, and so it was hard to become really proficient. And I still had my regular job, so I didn't want to quit my day job. So believe me, TV weathercasting does not give you a lot of job security in many markets. But at any rate, I still wanted to do it. And when I finally retired, I was filling in more, but I still didn't have a regular gig. And then about January, or actually November 2006, the news director called me in and said, you know, we're going to start this weekend morning weathercast. Nobody else is doing it on the peninsula. We'll be the first. I've hired a producer. I've hired an anchor. I'm still looking to hire a weather guy or a weather person. And I said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And he said, well, I didn't have you in mind. Actually, there was a young lady up in the Bay Area that was vying for the job and said, I want to use you, Carl, as a fill-in. You do a great job at filling in. I want to have you available if something goes wrong, somebody's sick or whatever. And I said, well, all right, whatever. Well, the person they had in mind fell through. So I went into the news director and I said, well, why don't I just do it? I'll just start doing it. And when you find somebody, then I'll back off. And we'll give it some credibility since I'm a meteorologist. He said, yeah, that's fine. So in January 2007, I started out with this show right at the very beginning. And there's a job announcement up on the board still looking for a weekend morning weather person. Well, about March, I noticed the job announcement was gone. And I said, that's kind of strange. Okay, I wonder if they found somebody. Then about a month later, the photographer called me in and said, you know, I need to get a picture of you. I said, okay, I'm finally going to get my picture up on a bulletin board with all the employees. So I got a bunch of pictures. About a month after that, I'm sitting at the anchor desk and I'm watching the commercial, and at the end of the commercial break, and I sat on the weather with Carl Thormeyer. So I must be the guy. And those of you who watch KSBW on Saturday and Sunday morning between 7 and 9 know that I've continued that for the last 3 years. And as hard as it is to get up at 3 in the morning, it's fun, it's energetic, and Toastmasters has allowed me to do that. So I too had a dream that I succeeded at. But there's another person who I think only one of you has met that has had a number of dreams, and she's going to achieve them all sooner or later. Her name is Lynn Lim. She is the wife of a Singaporean Navy officer. She was here at the postgraduate school. And I went to the guest book just before the meeting to find out when she actually came as a guest. It was in late 2004. And she visited us for 3 or 4 meetings in a row. She was ready to join, and she said, you know, I have a decision to make. I'd really like to join this club, but my husband just graduated and he's going back to Singapore, and maybe I should go back with him. Well, hard choice. I mean, I was stuck with Toastmasters. But anyway, she did go back, and she was just a wonderful young lady. And we exchanged email addresses and communicated once or twice a year for 2 or 3 years, and it kind of fell off. And about 2 or 3 months ago, I met another, or through email, I met another Singaporean Toastmaster who was a parliamentarian who was visiting the Bay Area and wanted to visit clubs in San Francisco. And so I hooked him up with the Point of Order Toastmasters Club. And in the process, I said, you know, do you know Lynn Lim? And he didn't, but he says, I'll find her for you. And darn it, a couple of weeks after he got back, he found the club she belonged to, and she actually had joined Toastmasters. That's part of the story I forgot to tell you. She joined Toastmasters in Singapore, got her CTM, which is now a CC, the CC award, and then she dropped out because she was doing other things. Anyway, my other friend, KSTO, found Lynn and her email address. I emailed her, and we've been communicating back and forth, and in the process, I found out that she too had some dreams. And first of all, she was a closet poet. She liked to do poetry. She had no background in poetry, but she wanted to publish poetry. Just the other day, I downloaded her book, In Quiet I Trust, by Lin Ting Yin, Singapore. And there are some beautiful poems in here, and I wish I had the time to read some of them to you. They're very concise, but very meaningful. It's amazing in just how few words she gets such a strong message across. And her dream was to publish. And you can go to the internet and download this for $2.95. And if you want a hard copy, it costs you $7.95. I got it in like 10 seconds. If I ordered the hard copy, I'd be waiting until January. So she too had that dream, but she has another dream. And her dream is to be the host of a talk show, very much like, Dr. Phil or Oprah Winfrey. And she said, I'll never be able to do that. I said, well, first of all, you got to get back in Toastmasters. Because I shared my story, and I said, if you don't, you're not going to be able to keep this up. But she's a very ambitious person, and there's no doubt in my mind that she too, well, someday, she'll be a host of a talk show on television in Singapore, no doubt in my mind. And I'm looking forward to that time. And I'm sure I'll never see her again, but we'll continue to communicate, and I'll be cheering her on. Now, there's another dream I know about in this club, and it's Tanya Holloway, because she has a dream she's going to win that district contest in November 21st, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow, up in Santa Clara at the Biltmore. And we all want to be there to support her, don't we?
Yes.
Yes. So I encourage you to go to the web. If you haven't already gotten an email from the district about getting the early bird special or whatever, then go to the D4TM website, www.d4tm.org. Find the forecaster, there'll be something about the fall conference, and you can just pay with PayPal. It's very simple. I just did that this morning, so I'll be there, Tanya, and I'm sure several others will too. And you will achieve that dream. So dare to dream. You never get anywhere if you don't, kind of break open the barriers and try to do something you haven't done before. And one of the things in the preface of Lynn's book, I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but she talks about rising to greater heights. And she says, we transport ourselves to higher ground, dangerous ground, but we must scale those heights. We cannot leave to dust what urgently calls for our attention. And I think if we all think about our goals in that way and our dreams in that way, that all of you, too, will achieve your dream.